Hello, welcome to this week's edition of Spotlight on Jackson County. I'm Michael Paul, your host. It's really great to be here with you this week, and I've got a really old friend of mine who's, golly, I didn't mean to say it that way, Marcia. I know you're going to have a birthday here pretty soon, but...
My mistake, I told you that.
But an old friend, no doubt. How are you?
We have known each other many years, Michael.
It
has been a long time.
You used to cover me when I was on the Board of Supervisors, but before
that, when you were a lowly public servant police officer on the motorcycles.
On a motorcycle.
Worked that wreck that we had.
That's
Do you remember?
Right. Absolutely. I remember it just like it was yesterday.
And then you ran for supervisor, and I was here.
You covered the board meetings.
Covered the board meetings.
So we've been. It's a little different, me interviewing you.
It is. It is. You're asking me the questions
That's
now,
right.
So it is kind of strange. So take it easy on me, okay?
Listen, no problem. I'm just glad to have you here. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
You're a lot actually better looking than Jim Foster, and we'd originally asked for Jim, but they sent you instead. So.
Well, when I got hired, they said I was going to be the face of FEMA, and I was like, that could be kind of scary. The face of FEMA that people throw darts at as they see me in their living room TV.
No. I can't think of any better face that FEMA could ask to be put on. But anyway. What's going on? We've got hurricane season's almost over. I think it.
But I did bring a hurricane.
I was going to ask you what the prop was for.
All right. The prop is just because hurricane season is almost over at the end of November, don't forget your hurricane preparation kit. Okay, your emergency preparation kit, because the stuff that's in here, first aid kit, weather radio. Those wonderful MREs. I'm going to go flavor.
We don't know if we ever want to eat one again, but if we had to, we would.
All right. Flashlight, bottled water. For your kids, a storybook. Where's the camera? Storybook. Oh, and of course, you got to have the can opener.
Oh my goodness!
All right, think about it. Just because hurricane season is ending, what comes up? We have winter storms.
Yes, we do.
In the spring, we have the tornadoes. You can have an incident where someone hits a transformer, your power goes out for 12 hours or whatever. The things that are in this hurricane prep kit are the things you would use in those instances. Not necessarily maybe the MRE, but the water, the flashlight, the weather radio. Weather radios can be used all times of the year, not just in hurricane season. And we were talking at work, and one of my coworkers said, put one together as a stocking stuffer for Christmas. Hey, all your family may scoff and say, you got me this for a stocking stuffer, but it is you know, stuff that comes in handy.
What do you think that would cost to put that together?
Well, like on the weather radios, these cost as much as you want them to cost, because you can get them at Walmart for, I think, about as much as $15 on up, depending on the gadgets and everything they do. I mean, a bottle of water is what, $1.50?
Not even that. If you buy a
like
six-pack, you know, they're less than $1 a piece.
The first aid kit, a few bucks, a flashlight, you know, a can opener. I mean, come on, this is relatively cheap stuff that comes in handy in the event of bad weather, and the weather radio, like I said.
Now, what about this good-looking FEMA bag? Where do those come from?
The FEMA bag comes from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and this one is not mine. I had to like steal this from our trusty admin, Neely, so I have to get this back to her. Okay. That does not come with all of these items.
I got you.
You've got to make your own kit, and it doesn't come in a FEMA bag. So think about it. You know, just because hurricane season is ending, don't forget to be prepared for all kinds of weather and get your items together.
When does hurricane season end?
November 30th.
Wow.
And you know what? Even if you never have to use this stuff, you know, in any of these storms, it ends November 30th, but think, in 6 months.
It'll be back.
We're back in hurricane season
And
again.
you're ready to go.
That's
in
right.
6 months.
So, you know, you might have to replace the water. It might be a little stagnant after 6 months, but hey, you can do that.
Let's kind of switch gears. That's a great idea, and thanks for bringing that up, and the prop to show everybody, you know, what you can put in a kit. But let's talk about some of the other things that's going on with FEMA. How much money's left here? How much money's left for Jackson County for this?
The total amount of money obligated so far for Jackson County for Hurricane Katrina recovery is staggering. It's $9.9 million. The recovery in total so far has been like $10 billion. For the entire recovery. And you know, it's been such a widespread recovery because the damage was so catastrophic that every county and every city had to have money to get back on its feet. So in Jackson County, $9.9 million has been obligated to help people, and that's in, you know, your public assistance, which means your cities, your infrastructure, your buildings, you know, your sewer and water and your public buildings, and then your school buildings, and then in individual assistance, that's where they help individual people, like when the trailers were at the height of use, 45,000 occupied trailers right after the storm, and that was putting people in trailers, that's putting people in apartments and in hotels, giving them rental assistance. So all of that money has totaled up to $9.9 million. There are still 521 trailers occupied here in Jackson County, but you don't have any of those trailers in commercial parks.
Yeah, they closed all the parks.
They closed all the parks in Jackson County, both commercial and the parks that FEMA built. And those 521 trailers you will find on private property. And sometimes people go, private property, what does that mean?
It's people's homes, their home
It's
sites.
in your yards, it's on your lots, it's on your acreage. Wherever you have space for a trailer, because those people still need the trailer because for whatever reason, insurance, contractor issues, whatever reason, they haven't started rebuilding their homes yet, which some people just cannot fathom almost 3 years after the storm. But, you know, it was a storm that no one knew what it was going to do. So we live in it, we see the damage, and we see the slow pace it's taking. It's not fast enough for a lot of people, but it was a very, very horrible storm, and it's going to take time. So those people are still needing help, and the trailers will be here until the housing deadline assistance ends on March 1st.
I was going to ask you that. You're just on the spot there.
March 1st, 2009 is the scheduled end of housing assistance.
So that's the 521 trailers that we're talking about?
Those are supposed to be gone by March 1st, and also the Mississippi Cottages, the program that is run by the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency. You see the cottages in Jackson County, and also because they're scattered throughout Harrison and Jackson and Stone and Pearl River and Hancock, and those will end too on March 1st. Now, you know, there could be an extension, but it would have to be up to either President Bush to extend the housing deadline.
Well, on March 1st, we'll have a new president.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Either President Bush could do it before he leaves office, or he could leave that up to the new president.
Okay.
And we have not heard either way. So we have to go by what we've been told now, that it's March 1st, unless something comes out of Washington. And it will be the president that makes that decision, either President Bush or the new president.
How many trailer parks are left, actually? Are there any left?
There are a few over in Harrison and Hancock County that are scheduled to close as of today, and they're getting them out. We also have...
Now, these people, now when you say getting them out, are these, you know, the ones that they got out here in Jackson County, where are they? Where are they?
Where are the people?
Yeah, where are the people? Do you know?
Well, that's what people ask. They say, you just kick the people out of the trailer parks when you close them, and that is such an awful misconception that I've had to clarify over and over. Nobody gets kicked out.
I didn't think so.
Nobody gets put on the street. What the goal is, you know, those trailers were not meant for long-term occupancy. Think about it. Certainly not 3 years after the storm. So what we're doing is to get them out, excuse me, to get them out, we are helping them with rental assistance. If they have some money, but they don't have enough to perhaps rent, because, you know, rental resources are not, you know, they're pretty few and far between, and they're rather expensive. And the apartments are expensive. So what they do is they help with rental assistance. If the rental accommodations aren't readily available, we are putting them up in hotels for 30 days at a time, and we're helping with that payment. And then every 30 days, the caseworker goes and they say, you know, have you been able to find anything? We've got caseworkers who are working constantly with these people to get them out of the hotels and get them into more permanent housing. But no one is going to be denied housing.
You know, I've looked around and I've seen a lot of new apartments going up toward the Ocean Springs area, and there's one right at the interstate there, a new apartment. Somebody told me that that was not necessarily anything to do with FEMA, but just general, you know, new construction that you see for apartments.
Well, there is new construction, but you know, housing is still the big challenge following the storm. Affordable housing. Well, what's affordable to me and you, Michael, may not be affordable to anyone else. And we know that the rates have just skyrocketed since the hurricane because of the shortage of accommodations. So people who are working and who are trying to get back on their feet, sometimes they just can't make all the, the fees that they're required. So that's where FEMA comes in with the rental assistance and the housing assistance. But, I just want to let people know that just because we close trailer parks, please don't think that we're putting people out on the street. That is such a big misconception, because that's not what FEMA does, put people out on the street.
Well, sometimes I think you have to ask yourself too, where were some of these people on the day before the storm?
Before the storm, and we do get that question, and we do, we say, well, how long do you help them? We help them as long as they tell us they need help, and as long as they still qualify under the law.
Right.
We don't make the judgment call that, hey, you don't need help anymore, you need to get out. We don't make that call.
It's difficult for you to do because you're an emergency agency. And that's what you do, is go out and help people in emergencies. Now, I don't know who's making those decisions. Is that something that's coming from the Department of Human Services?
Well, that's something that's coming from FEMA headquarters. I mean, someone way above my pay scale, for sure. Marcia Hill doesn't make the decision.
I'm sure of that. But I guess what I'm saying is how do you determine, or how is FEMA, or what agencies are they utilizing to find out if that person...
You're right. They're working with Department of Human Services. Our voluntary agency liaisons, we have a group called VALS, Voluntary Agency Liaisons. They partner with all of your volunteer agencies in the county, Red Cross, Salvation Army,
right.
And they work with these agencies to get these applicants on their feet again. So we have a multifaceted group helping, because everybody has a part to play in getting these people going again. So everybody's involved, and that's the way it's going to stay until someone higher up on the food chain says, okay, enough is enough.
We got about a minute left. Anything else you'd like to talk about?
Well, I know that Jackson County and Pascagoula and Moss Point have all adopted the new flood elevation maps. Those have caused some concern, because the idea is build stronger, build better, means building higher. And some of the other cities and counties have been hesitant to do that, but here in Jackson County, the county, Pascagoula, Moss Point have all agreed to do it. So the flood elevation maps will guide you along as you try to rebuild.
Are those available now, Marcia?
Those are available, and it will help with your flood insurance. A lot of people didn't have flood insurance when this storm hit.
Right.
They do now.
I know it.
They do now. So that's what those maps are designed to do, guide you along as you build and rebuild to try to avoid the situation that so many people found themselves in. They might get wiped out again, but they won't spend as much money.
Thank you so much for coming. It's really a pleasure to see you again.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a minute. We're going to have Andy Collette with the Salvation Army and Bridget Rogers. So come back. Hey, welcome back. Spotlight on Jackson County. Michael Paul still here with you. And as I promised, we've got the Salvation Army. We've got our old friend, Mr. Collette from the Salvation Army, and we also have Bridget Rogers from Pump It Up. Pump It Up is your business in Gautier, but you're kind of the head of the Jackson County Toys for Tots.
Well, I'm an assistant.
Okay. Well, the assistant. But as far as I'm concerned, you're the one answering the question. You're the one answering the questions here. So, Andy, good to see you again.
Pleasure to be here, Michael. Thanks for having me.
It's always good to see you. The first thing I guess I have to ask is how does how did this get connected together, Toys for Tots and Salvation Army? I don't know which one you want.
Well, I'll start, because it started early this summer before Bridget came on and started helping us. The Salvation Army every year, as well as the Toys for Tots Foundation, helps bring toys to children who wouldn't have them otherwise. And every year we're at the same locations, we're asking the same donors to help us, and this year's going to be a tough year. And so we thought, and we said to ourselves, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could form a partnership where we're not competing with one another, but we're helping each other in a cooperative effort. And so the Salvation Army approached the Toys for Tots Foundation and the people representing Toys for Tots on the Gulf Coast, and we formed a partnership early this summer that has extended into this fall, and we're going to do this thing together this year, and it's going to be a great effort with minimal duplication and a lot less competition for the same purpose, and that's to help children receive Christmas.
Do you think that this year is going to be a particularly rough year because all the things have happened in the stock market? I'm just asking.
I think we would be remiss if we didn't think that.
Yeah.
We're already preparing in the Salvation Army for that. I know Toys for Tots is looking at that as well. It's going to be a tough year. There's going to be more need, we think, and probably less people giving. Some of the people who were able to give in the years past might not be able to give this year.
That's right.
And so we're going to have to help do more. We're going to do more, maybe with less. I think that we're going to make it. I believe that that we're strong enough agencies and organizations to make that happen. But there's going to be a high need, and we recognize that.
Bridget, are you going to have the help of the Marine Corps this year over for Toys for Tots?
Of course we will. We're already starting off our. We've kicked off the toy drive part of it. Sheriff Mike Bird is nice enough to kick off the Stop a Cop program. Monday we had a kickoff party to start off the year, and all of our local businesses that were taking part have already placed their boxes. I have that. We do have the list of it.
Tell me quickly about Stop a Cop. I want everybody to understand how that works.
Well, it's the public's opportunity just to stop a sheriff and pull them over. And all they have to do is give them a toy, and they'll take it and take it to.
How do you do that? How do you do that safely, Bridget, without getting yourself in danger?
Well, no, I don't have the answer to that.
Okay.
You know what you might be able to do, Michael? You might be able to go to the donut shops.
Yeah. Oh, hey, wait a minute now. That's
where
kind
the
of
law enforcement officers hang out generally and just hand it to them instead of stopping them.
That's kind of cutting it. That's kind of cutting a little deep. Now you were a cop too.
I was
at one time.
Okay. That's why I said that.
Yeah, I know.
Then you guys may have the answer to that.
Well, I was just thinking. You know, you certainly don't want to run around and try to flash an officer over off the highway. I want to make sure everybody understands.
Yes.
But if you see one stop somewhere and
right.
you've got a toy, you just holler at him and maybe and he'll
kind
throw
of wave
the
it
toy
in front of them, and I think they'll know that what your goal is.
So they've been warned that people
Yes.
may try to stop them, and they understand that. Okay, just want to make sure. And if the sheriff's told them, I'm sure they're all in agreement.
You know, Mike, one of the great things that's going on right now, we're in the middle of our second week of taking applications from clients, and we've already seen numbers of people coming in for 1 week, and we're in the midst of our second week now. And so what I would say to people is if you think you need Christmas this year, then go to a Salvation Army unit near you, anywhere along the Gulf Coast, find the one that's closest to your home, and come in and fill out paperwork. It won't take you very long, just a few minutes, and we'll see if you are needing assistance this year, and we'll try to bring you that assistance. And it's going to be a great offer.
What kind of assistance we talking about here? I mean, we talking about the Toys for Tots? Or are we talking about just in general the Salvation Army?
Well, the Salvation Army, because of this partnership, the wonderful thing that comes out of this partnership is, you know, the Salvation Army has done the Angel Tree program for years. That's our Christmas
Absolutely.
effort. And in the Angel Tree effort, we have a food box for every family that comes, and we try to assist them in that way as well, so that we're not just helping the children with toys, but we're helping addressing the whole family as a unit in a small way. Well, this year, because of the partnership, we're going to be able to do that with all the people who come in and help us, or who come and ask us for help, for who would normally be just Toys for Tots clients, will now receive that same level of gift from the Salvation Army and from Toys for Tots, so that the Salvation Army benefits in the partnership because Toys for Tots does a wonderful job with toys, but Toys for Tots benefits because we very often will receive clothes donations and food donations that also augment what is given at Christmas time. And that's the real beauty of this partnership, that it's a more inclusive, a more holistic gifting than just a toy. Now, we generally focus on children 12 years and younger. It's very hard to get people to donate for children over the age of 12 because you start to get into, you know, $200 video consoles.
That's true.
And that kind of thing.
Now, that brings up another question that I always have and want to bring out. What kind of toys do you want, and is there an easier way to do it? Can you just make a donation if you don't want to go out and buy a toy?
Certainly. You can make a donation.
So the answer is yes.
Yeah, the answer is yes, yes, and yes, Michael. Here's the wonderful thing. Some organizations, some businesses find themselves in a place where they have a Christmas party or some gathering at Christmas time. And they like to say, you know, instead of doing a gift exchange within the organization, let's bring toys or something like that and donate them. And that's where there's a wonderful benefit here. Also, the Salvation Army and the Toys for Tots Foundation are geared and set up to receive monetary donations where toys will be purchased in the name of those organizations and then given to the children. And that's also a wonderful opportunity as well.
You know, Bridget, I think I interrupted you when you were going to go through and tell us how we could donate toys when I interrupted you about the sheriff earlier and stopping a cop or a deputy. If somebody wants to donate a toy, can you give me an idea about how you go and do that?
Of course, the Walmart in Ocean Springs, Pascagoula will have a box. All the local fire stations, the police stations, UPS stores in Ocean Springs and Pascagoula. Of course, right here at WKFK, y'all will be
Absolutely,
one.
yeah.
I'll be one at Pump It Up, which I think is a great place because we've got children and toys in there every day.
Real quick, Pump It Up. Now that's in Goshen.
Yes.
And give us a
We're,
real quick where you are.
We're directly on Highway 90 in Goshen. We're a private party facility, and it's mainly birthday parties, but
Right.
we do any kind of special occasion for children.
What's it close to so people can come by and see you?
We are right past the old, if you're coming into Goshen from Pascagoula, we are right past the old Jerry Lee's, right next to Mark
Okay.
Mitchell's building.
Okay, great.
And so they can stop there and drop off a toy.
Awesome.
All of your local Dollar General stores, Big Lots in Pascagoula and Ocean Springs, and that's just to name a few of them.
Is there a website we can go to?
I know that Toys for Tots does have a national website.
I think it does. I think it's toysfortots.com.
Toys-
Also,
Yeah.
the
I'm
Salvation Army is
I know you do, too.
www.ms. MS. No, I'm going to mess it up.
That's okay. Well,
Salvation Army.
the benefit we have of recording this show prior to putting it on is we will have it on the screen.
That's right. We are going to put it on the screen.
It's
Look
on the
right
screen
there.
now, in
That's
fact.
right. We'll get there. It's very complicated to say, but it's SalvationArmyMSCoast.com or .org, I think. But I don't want to mess it up. It might go the other way.
But
So
like I said, it's going to be on the screen for us anyway,
right.
so let's not worry about that.
But there is one thing that I wanted to add that we talked about before we started was that with the Salvation Army and Toys for Tots gearing together, like he had said, we're going to be able to help more families because you have families that may apply to Salvation Army for the Angel Tree, and then you have them to apply for Toys for Tots. And so with this being partnered up, we're not going to have a problem with these applications being
duplication
duplicated.
will be eliminated because it's all
Exactly.
being done in one
So
place.
that's
one
what is
location.
such a wonderful thing.
Can you apply for somebody? Is that something that
The
happens?
way that the Salvation Army does that process is somebody has to come in with the identification and a whole series of materials, and we can get that list up maybe as well, of things that they need to have: proof of income, proof of the children actually live in the home. We do a lot to make sure that we're not helping the same kids more than one time. Very often in the modern
or just
world,
people that don't need help.
Exactly.
And they're
exactly.
in Jackson County. You know,
Very
we are
often
here.
in the world today, children live with the grandparents. Maybe the mom will apply and the grandparents will apply, and the same kids get help twice. That's what we're trying to
avoid.
eliminate. So we want to make sure that all the kids that need help get help, but we want to make sure that they all need it and that they all
Sure.
get it if
Right.
they need it. So
So if you wanted to apply for a family, or if you wanted to to help a family, you would have to bring that family in, I guess, to the
right.
Salvation Army.
The best way to do it, if you know of a
And
family,
that's what I'm getting to, the
best
point.
way, if you know of a family that needs help, the best thing to do is to tell them to get in touch with the Salvation Army where we're doing the application process and have them come in and apply. If their pride is such that they don't really want to do that, we're going to run into a little bit of circumstance, but call the office and we'll see what we can do. We can probably work around that.
Is it a real difficult process to apply for this?
It
Toys
takes
for
about
Tots and-
6 minutes. Mike.
Okay.
It's
okay.
not.
So
It's not a big deal at all. It's something very simple. Generally, people who need help with Christmas are already familiar with the way that we do applications and processing, so they're ready. It's just a picture ID, the names of the children in your household with a little bit of identification, knowing that they are who they say they are.
Yeah.
Proof of income, proof of expenses, and it's a pretty simple process.
And there is a confidentiality
That's
part
exactly
of it
right.
too. So I mean,
That's the
people that
real
are
pressure.
not used to receiving help that may
Right.
need help this year, maybe a little bit difficult for them at
Right.
first, but we want to remind them that it is
right.
confidential.
And you can
So,
do it. It's not hard.
So can they come see you, or do they need to go see?
They
the
need to come
Salvation
see
Army is going
us.
to be
We're
taking
doing
care
the
of that.
paperwork.
That's
side.
where this
Right.
whole
That's where the
partnership
partnership-
really
We're going
works.
to take the fun part.
It's-
We're going to take the toys.
You're going to give the toys, and you're going to let the Salvation Army do
let's
the
be
paper.
honest, Michael. Okay, the Toys for Tots Foundation works at Christmas time, and the application process is the hard part. We do that all year long.
Right.
And we have professionals who are trained in confidentiality, who know how to do this process the right way. We also have volunteers who are willing to do that. And so it's just very simple. And what Toys for Tots has done in the past on their own, and what the Salvation Army has done in its past on their own, it's so similar that it was not difficult to blend it together and make it work out.
We got 30 seconds left, and not to slight Toys for Tots at all, because that's what this show's
Sure.
about. Let's talk about the bell ringers real quick.
It's the
coming
time
up.
of the year. We start on the 17th of November, but our kickoff is on the 20th of November for bell ringing. We need volunteers, volunteer businesses. We need businesses to come out and volunteer their time. We need people to say, I'll ring the bell. It's not a hard thing to do. Couple of hours, give us a call at the office. The number's 228-762-7222. We'll get you plugged in and get you a spot for however long you want to go, wherever you want to be. Right now, it's wide open. The earlier you call, the better chance you have, and we need your help because that money is going to help us make sure that we don't have a shortfall with toys and make sure Christmas happens, and then what's left over we'll put toward programs for the rest of the year.
Bridget, thank you so much.
you,
We
Mike.
appreciate you joining us here. Thank you for joining us here on Spotlight on Jackson County. I'm Michael Paul, your host. See you again next week.